My name is Chris, but everybody here calls me Corn Dog. I've had just about every job you can imagine. Fast food, law enforcement, corporate management, 10 years as a performing artist, and I'm even an ordained minister. But my job right now is driving a truck all over the United States. This is Dakota. He's a golden retriever, originally trained as a puppy to be a service animal. He also spent a couple of weeks in a school for police dogs. Now he's the co-pilot of the truck and the head of security. So now that you know a little bit about me, let me introduce you to the truck. I've got the front curtains closed just because it's so bright outside that the cameras just wouldn't be able to pick up well in here. But just like an RV, they stretch across the windshield and of course the two windows on each side. The most interesting part of the truck is the cockpit. Everything that happens in the truck can be controlled right here. So what I've got in front of me are the gauges which monitor the oil pressure, the water temperature, and the electrical charge in the batteries. I also can monitor the speed of the engine as well as my highway speed. And then above that is a computer screen that shows different information like the length of the running time of the engine, the temperature outside, how much fuel I've used, which I've just reset because I'll be leaving in a little bit, my trip calculator, and then my leg calculator. And then obviously it's showing me that my parking brake is set. Over here I've got my pressure gauges for the primary and secondary air tanks that supply air to the suspension and brakes. I've got my fuel level, and then also the pressure that I'm applying to the brakes when I use the brake pedal. And then of course I've got a million switches for cruise control, engine brake, lights in the truck, windshield wipers, and then all of the buttons here control the computer screen. I've got a couple more switches over here that involve the differential, the fifth wheel, and then the air that is in the suspension on the truck. And then these are the fun knobs. These are the brakes for the trailer and emergency brakes, and then this is the parking brake, or the brake for the tractor. Obviously where all the entertainment happens in the radio, and then air for the front of the tractor. The truck also has its own computer system and GPS system. This is the keypad that controls it. It fits nicely on the steering wheel, and I use it to monitor various different things. With the computer I can check things like the temperature inside the trailer, and it's also used to send messages back and forth to the company. I also have a laptop on board which I use for document scanning and navigation. I use it for email and internet access, and then of course when I'm parked at night I can watch a movie or listen to some music. Above my head is my radio, which I use to communicate with scales and docks for local instructions. And then above that is a hard drive. Everything like documents, movies, all the data from the laptop is stored on this hard drive. In the middle of the truck are the blackout curtains, and when they're closed they block out any light coming from the front of the truck. So if you have been driving all night and need to sleep during the day, they're going to make the back of the truck pretty dark. In the main closet I've got a Coleman refrigerator that runs off of the electricity in the truck. It's a great thing to have to keep cold drinks or fresh food on the truck. You can't always just pull over every time you're hungry. You need to be able to prepare food on the truck. There's plenty of storage on the truck, closets, cabinets, cubbies. It makes it really easy to load your stuff in. On the other side is a closet, and beneath that is the desk. The desk slides in and out and then opens as well as a drawer. It's nice when you're having to do paperwork or file things to have that space to write on. This truck has two bunks, one up top that folds up against the wall, and then one on the bottom. Dakota normally sleeps on the floor, but for now he's taking advantage of the fact that I'm not really paying attention. Underneath the main bunk is extra storage space for luggage and things that you don't want to be tripping over while you're moving around in the cabin. So that's pretty much the inside of the truck. Let me show you the outside. This is it. Truck and trailer together weigh about 40 tons. So the next time you want to pull up beside one or stop short in front of one, remember that your vehicle just isn't going to be a match. And it's not worth the safety of you or your loved ones to gain a couple of extra seconds on the highway. Make sure that you give trucks on the highway plenty of room and that you clearly communicate your intentions to maneuver around them. Deaths involving motor vehicles against trucks rarely end in favor of the smaller vehicle. In the trucking business, you don't make any money sitting around. So it's time to start my day by noting it on my log. Now, I spent the night in San Antonio, Texas, and today I need to make it to El Paso. I just checked the weather radar and it looks like I might have a little bit of weather in front of me, but nothing too serious. But I do want to make sure that I get on the road and allow for any time that I may spend in some weather. Okay. Just gonna shoot down the interstate, about one exit, and pick up some fuel. The satellite system that the truck uses is telling me that's where the cheapest gas is along my route, so that's where I'm heading. But I made it out of San Antonio and I'm in the hills to the northwest. In San Antonio, I-10 takes a turn to the northwest and heads straight into El Paso, and that's where I'm going today. Running through hills like this with a load is primarily about managing your speed, making sure that you're not going downhill too fast, and making sure that when you're going uphill, you're using the proper gears and allowing your engine to breathe so that you don't overheat. Just as the sun is setting over Texas, we've made it about halfway between San Antonio and El Paso, and there's a rest area right here. So Dakota and I are going to jump out, stretch our legs for a little bit, and we'll finish the rest of the trip in the dark. I'm about an hour away from El Paso, and the last stretch of I-10 runs right along the U.S.-Mexican border. This is about as close to Mexico as I'll get with the truck. Well, I made it to El Paso, which means you've made it to the end of the very first episode of the Over the Road show. Make sure you don't miss the next episode by subscribing to the Over the Road podcast in iTunes. For the Over the Road show, this is Chris Corndog saying good night.